Baseball's winter meetings continuing here in Nashville, Tennessee. How about this for a familiar face to Indians fans? Former Tribe General Manager John Hart, now working for the MLB network and doing a great job, I might add, on the air, breaking it all down for fans and giving that unique front office perspective. John, I know your heart's still very close to the Indians. Number of years removed. Mark Shapiro's moved on. Now Chris Antonetti's the general manager. And obviously, it's a challenging time for the Tribe. They're trying to get this thing turned around. As Drupal Cabrera's name's been rumored out there in the trade market. They were very close on Shane Victorino. From where you sit, how do the Indians get it going back in the right direction again?
Well, listen, these are tough times right now. Cleveland is sort of that club that is in the middle, if you will, and I think several things I think have led to this. Number one, I think a lot of their younger players haven't emerged as star sort of core type of players. And I think some of the trades they made when they moved off some of their bigger players really never produce that big core player or two that you need, I think, to build around. Look, there are clubs that are, if you will, sort of middle markets, lower, smaller markets as far as revenues and the ability to spend. And really their lifeblood is player development and scouting. They're able to continue to perpetuate young star quality players coming in. You looked at what happened in Oakland this past year. You look at Tampa has been a good sort of a model to follow, what they've done over the last 5 years. But it doesn't mean it can't happen, that you can't turn this thing back around. But right now it is challenging because it's difficult for them, especially with the escalation in dollars for, I'm not saying star players, obviously those are there, but when you look to
get the Victorino deal shock you?
It did. I mean, when you start looking at nice outfielders but not core star kind of players, and you're looking at $13 million, you get limited, and there's a number of clubs that do. But that's the price that you pay right now. And I think again, it comes back to the ability to develop, draft your own players, and when you make trades, if you're going to get there, you're going to have to bring back some core type players in these deals.
John, there seems to be this prevailing thought that because of where the Indians are at right now, they're not challenging for a division title year in and year out, that they're going to have to overpay to get a free agent to come to Cleveland, or maybe overpay in a trade to get the return they want. Were you ever in that situation in Cleveland in the early days, and is that a familiar territory?
Well, I know this. In the early days, we just took it to the bone and went down with our young players, and we really were fortunate that we were able to hit some home runs in the draft, and we were able to trade for some guys that became long-time core-type players, which is really the key. And I think, again, when you're in a market like Cleveland, it's not a celebrity-type market. If a guy has a choice between, Southern California or New York, and I think, we just walked away from those guys. We just didn't feel that they fit. We tried to look more at the blue-collar grinder kind of player, and it never really bothered me that we weren't front and center. Obviously, when we started to win and we began to put up, 2 or 3 years into a run, we became a destination, because Cleveland, truly, it's not hard to sell it. It's a great place, and a very beautiful ballpark. I think the inability for Cleveland to be truly relevant over the last 3 or 4 years perhaps hurts a little bit.
John, when you look at the Indians and where they're at, and there's a lot of talk right now that Chris Antonetti has talked to multiple teams about 3- and 4-way deals. From your experience, how difficult, what are the unique challenges when you add another player into the mix of a trade that involves 3, if not more, teams?
Well, number one, Chris is a lot smarter than I am. I had trouble making one-player deals, but it is challenging because there are a lot of moving parts, and I think ultimately you've got to keep it real simple as that club, that what am I giving up and what in return do I want? And that's why you get into these multiple trades, because you might not match up. If, for instance, you wanted a pitcher and you're trying to move a shortstop or a third baseman, a position player, you may not have the pitcher that you want from that particular ball club. Or if you're looking for a second player that is a specific position. And I think because of, if you have appealing players, attractive players that others want, that club that is looking for your guy is going to try to secure what they want, and that's how you get into those 3-player deals. I think the real trick is just keep your eye on the mark as to who are the players that you want. You might have to start digging into another organization and say, this is the player that I specifically want. If you can get him, I'll complete the deal.
All right, last question. You've got a chip. and again, this is speculation because the Indians won't comment on specific players, but if Asdrubal Cabrera is your chip, how hard do you hold the line to get what you want, where the trade-off is, I don't want to walk away with nothing, but I don't want to just give this guy away and walk out shorthanded?
Well, obviously, there's a little bit of a game of stare down when you get to these kinds of situations. But you've got, if in fact you're talking about an Asdrubal Cabrera, you're looking at a young first division type shortstop. This guy has youth. He's got enough offense. He can really catch the ball. He plays the game easy. I think he's a very attractable piece, especially with a limited free agent market. And I think what you have to do to go into this is to be prepared to hold him until you get the deal you want. And I think that's the trick, that you go in and, look, at the end of the world, we open up with Asdrubal Cabrera as our shortstop, Morris Choo as our right fielder, and we'll wait and see what happens as the year goes along. It's not the most desirable if, in fact, you're trying to make the effort to rebuild and to redo it, and you want to get some pieces. I was never afraid to hold the line and look at it that I knew I had a desirable player. And again, I go back to this market. There's not a lot of shortstops out on this market.
John, thanks so much for your time. Good to catch up. We keep up the great work on MLB Network.
Thanks, Matt. It's always a pleasure. And as I told you earlier, I said my heart's still in Cleveland. I still love it there.
Former Tribe General Manager John Hart with us. Baseball's winter meetings continue here in Nashville, and so will our coverage coming up in a little while.